The lesson I'm getting so far is that if your uninvited guests ever get heavily injured, the main course of action is to go and impose on your teachers, because they're probably going to know at least somewhat more what to do. And if not, at least it's not your fault. But Index really is starting off big. The knowledge of 103,000 grimoires stored inside the mind of basically a child, and there are many parties after her wanting that for their own. And with just one book having the capability of scrambling someone's brain, yeah, might be worthwhile protecting it. So, shall we see what this world of walking natural disasters has in store? Let's go. I almost forgot about the miniature world that they created there. Considering the last time I watched it was actually before Christmas, that little mini recap wasn't too bad. And how soon is it going to be before we actually start getting introduced to more of the characters that are involved in this world? Because it's focused primarily between him and Index. With that one red-haired magician being the main cause of issue. Although thanks to a comment or two I received on the last video, I now know the name of that one, if I didn't already, but still. If it wasn't already told to me, it still didn't matter because I can't remember. And I do want to see more of his hand in action, what it can actually achieve. And some of the other people and powers that are around. Seems like a good place. Did those runes displace them somewhere else? Or remove them from existence entirely? That is an impressive sword to be carrying around. Then things are going to be the hard route. Yeah, it's probably good there aren't many people around here. It makes sense to actually see him shaking slightly. He hasn't really had the opportunity to be battle hardened. So that is quite the swordsmanship. Sure, it can displace magic and everything supernatural, but can it stop just a steel blade of metal. Maybe you should get a glove. And if it's just something like air pressure, can he stop that? After, what, taking on 3 of those things and still only receiving a single scratch to his face. There we go. So she had a lot more planned than just sword. As an actual sword, yes. If she's such an hassle with a weapon and some piano wire, how much how much of an added danger is it going to be when she reveals her name? He seems to be heavily outmatched here, so I'm not entirely sure what he's going to achieve, apart from maybe making her question her decisions and morals. She had been talking that up, yeah. Does she not want to get others involved when they don't have to? I mean, she did make everyone around disappear, so maybe that is the case. She's letting him talk. So is she here for actual information, or does she actually want to listen to what he says? Does she have some dark past which makes her... No, I can't save them. So, kinda, yes. Well, she's been deemed a danger or something? But yeah, he then had to get intervened and destroyed her clothes. Yeah, when we already saw the... What's that word called? It's like eidetic memory? I suppose, yeah. It can get you into trouble at some points. Normal people don't have to worry about accidentally reading magical grimoires, though. It would be nice if we had a defrag option on our brain so we can store things easier. There is a lot of things that it seems insignificant, and normally we just block them out subconsciously. Lying and withholding information are not the same two things. Hmm. So that is what she just assumed. Seems like an almost an arbitrary amount of time to lose if it was accidental. Well, magic or a big hammer. That helps forget memories. Protection. Did she do something bad? Did she go on a bit of a rampage with some of the knowledge that she got in the last year? Right. That's fine. Fizzle. Hmm. Seems a bit of a long way about to do things. And how do you have the numbers of like, oh, she is now currently at 97% capacity? What will his sense of justice bring him to with this one? And if your brain does have an upper limit on what you can technically remember, what about. Surely it would have some sort of self preservation function in it, like erasing some of the other older memories. Seems talking's not their strong point, apart from when it is. Well, that was kind of how he introduced himself. And when you went through the whole, haha, fire demon thing, kill him. Bit unnecessary if it was all for her benefit. Could have just explained things easily back then. So just try a different way next time. Hmm? It's not up to you to decide that one. Yeah, it was them feeling bad and whatnot. But the whole this is a bit of a moral quandary over who's right and wrong, although there have been people who suffer from almost the opposite of this, which is unable to remember anything rather than having it forcibly removed. And that is not a a reality I want to live with. I've said it before, yeah, but being forgotten, either forcibly or not, is something that I fear heavily. But he did take quite a beating, though, so he did well to give us such a verbal lashing. Not bad of a way of disposing them rather than just littering, I guess. Did they just leave him in the middle of the road? And they didn't fix the wind turbine. At least no one was hurt. So she can't help herself from getting involved in practically everything. That's what I've gathered from her so far. Ah, someone whose clothes look a bit out of the ordinary. Maybe they're a main character. Did he need special healing magic for this, or just a good night's sleep? Several nights. Hopefully he didn't miss much school or anything while he was out cold. Coincidental 3 days. Ah, now the mentioned time is close at hand. We've got a lot to worry about. They did leave him in the middle of the road. Technically, he was, I guess. Maybe she actually needs to go to a tailor to fix her clothing as well, so that another incident doesn't happen. Well, he wasn't there to see the healing done beforehand, so... So she knows about the alter version robot thing. Running on autopilot. There are people who live as though they're a cold machine. And repress many of their emotions. If he didn't want to eat, it's not really up to him. Now, sit down like a good boy and eat up. What's more frightening, the sword or the feeding? Ow, that was really high-pitched. I'm sure it's still edible. Yeah, just invite them in. Despite the fact that you were heavily injured and everything, and you are running, I'm just going to invite these strangers in who I don't know. Bait. Using him as leverage. You see, not knowing the full story here and being drip-fed bits and pieces and hearing the different sides, do the grimoires still exist as a physical entity? Because if they do, can't they just erase her knowledge of them? Or if they don't, get her to write them down in some form and then erase her knowledge of them. Free up the rest of her brain. Or at least do one or two. Get a few more months out of it. And how did the whole I've removed everyone from the area work? Is it like a set radius and then people outside that are acting normal and inside that just vanish from time and space? Or only like in a pocket dimension? Because we saw the world still gets affected. And he's going to use his limited knowledge to find a way around it. But it's definitely been a story we've seen time and time again. People doing what they think is best for those around them, or those who they love. But is it really for them, or just to ease their own conscience? However, it always does seem to be the case that in pretty much any story when there's a time limit on something. Oh, the Demon King gets revived in every 10,000 years. Oh, the memory erasure happens every once a year. The hero always arrives on the day of, or the maybe the minute of the big event. Bit of a coincidence, one might say. And you know, now that Toma is involved, why don't, if the memory erasure has to take place, create a little scrapbook involving pictures of them together, a bit of a description, her own handwriting, saying this is what's happened, whatnot. And then once she doesn't remember, get her to read it. So, oh, okay, I now have a brief understanding. And then you've got a year to plan what to do, so you don't have to do it again. However, with the whole cold machine autopilot voice, I'm guessing that each erasure edges her ever closer to that fate. We'd have to find out by watching the next episode, and luckily for you, some very nice people have made that a possibility. So, if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, and maybe even several comments down below. Why limit it to just one? And yes, the more of you that keep telling me to dress up as that one character in particular, I'm sure if enough of you do it, then there might be precedent for such thing. But for the time being, if you don't want to miss out, subscribe to the channel. Get some rest. See you in the next one. Hopefully it'll be a very long time before my patrons start tracking me down and putting me out of my misery for my own good. Honestly though, I think I can understand why. So Sal, Raywin, Electric Ant, Dynamite 1997, Shiwan, Jennifer Rojas, Mecha, Stinsfire, Big Boy, Dark Shadow 7899, Yuki Ali and everyone else. Before you make a decision, just ask yourself, is it really me that you're doing this for? Either way, please be gentle.